Okay, we are live on the YouTube. That out. Get record. Hello there, and welcome to the Rapid Reaction Podcast here on HawkFanatic.com. We are recording a little about 3:45 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, October the 22nd, not long after Ohio State overcomes a slow start and beats the Hawkeyes 54-10 in Columbus. The most points ever allowed by a Kirk Ferentz team at Iowa. And that includes 99 and 2000 during the rebuild. So obviously, guys, not one you want to remember fondly, and hopefully it can be flushed quickly after the 24 hours for the players. I am joined by former Iowa running back Jordan Canzeri and former cornerback Jovan Johnson. Guys, as I've done here recently, I'm just going to kind of open the floor to just kind of your overall thoughts of what you saw there. Everybody who watched the game saw the same thing, but just to give your perspective on it, we'll start with you, Jordan.
Tough. Yeah, definitely tough. Can't really say anything pretty to change, what the scoreboard said. And offensively, just it's hard where the push up front wasn't entirely there. Receivers got to be able to, get open for your quarterback, and then just still issues at play there as well, where finally we saw the quarterback change. But it is also a very, very, very good Ohio State team. So we knew it was going to be a tough game going in, but it's hard when defense early on we made a play and offense has to be able to capitalize. For a while, our defense held to field goals, and in those sort of games, that's when offense has to be able to pick it up. So it's tough when you're going against a top-notch team like that. So it was a tough day for sure. Hopefully, as you mentioned, can wipe it clean and focus on next week.
Jovan, not to lead the witness here, but as Jordan said, Ohio State had 133 yards of offense in the first half.
Right. I mean, I don't even know where to go with the conversation. Like, being a former Hawkeye, extremely disappointed. But at the same time, you grow from it, you learn from it. And, they got some questions that need to get answered. The offensive line struggles, the inconsistency at quarterback. Defensively, you can only hold your end of the bargain for so long. And then, the offensive coordinator, there's something has to be done. I don't know what it's going to take, but, there's just the lackluster play calling. It's like, we don't have no creativity. You got to figure out different ways to get the ball to playmakers and let them make plays. The receivers right now, they can't beat anybody. I mean, I don't think I remember the last time that I seen a receiver win a one-on-one. But that comes in recruiting. In recruiting, you have to go out and get players that can win one-on-ones. At the collegiate level, Division I football, it's like a slim margin of error. Like the margin of error is very slim. So it's going to take a guy who can win a one-on-one to make things happen the way you want them to happen. And right now, there's some questions that I got to get answered.
Back to you, Jovan, again on this one. We had talked about a few weeks ago after the Illinois game that, why not give the backup quarterback a chance?
Mm-hmm.
He got a chance today. Not an easy situation to be thrown in, to say the least, in that game after what had already transpired in the first half. Is it, I don't know, more disheartening to see that you put your backup in there and still nothing changed?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's disheartening when you put the backup in. What are your legit expectations? I mean, if you expect him to go out and be better than the starter, then your expectations are all wrong. I mean, you got to give him time. Like he can't just jump out there in the middle of a game that you're playing against a team that's so high power like Ohio State and expect for him to overcome all of the disasters that happened before him. Like you got to give the guy a chance. And I understand that the quarterback change, at that point it was warranted because Spencer wasn't doing much. So they wanted to try to give Padilla a different, see if they can get a different change of speed or change of pace. But, I mean, expectation wise, I didn't expect him to go in there and light up the scoreboard. I expect him to go out and manage the game and possibly put some points and try to move the ball. But it's hard, in a game like that with that type of pressure from Ohio State.
Going through some numbers here, guys. Team-wise, Iowa with 8 first downs to 16 from Ohio State. Net rushing yards. Actually, Iowa outrushed Ohio State 77 to 66. Both teams averaged 2.2 yards per carry. Looking at total offensive yards, Iowa ended up with 158 to Ohio State's 360. Iowa, 1 of 13 on third down. That is not going to get it done. At this point, Jordan, what can be done offensively? Moving, obviously, you're not going to face Ohio State and Michigan going forward, which is great. But they're Big Ten teams you're going to face with Big Ten defenses, and you've got to come up with something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say for them to finally make this quarterback change should also mean that he should start the following week, because the games that I thought Padilla would get his shot that he didn't, it's again, very hard situation when already getting blown out and you're going against one of the best teams in the whole country to finally throw him out there. So I would say now it's up to figuring out what he can do and what plays work for him and getting the ball quicker to different athletes. Or it's just, again, it's tough, but just certain things that just have to be changed, or other guys getting different opportunities, because what's been done and what's been had is obviously not working, and it's very drastic to witness it as well, to just see the difference in how bad it is. But it's tough. It really is tough, because it doesn't matter how hard you work in practice, where we all get judged this way. We're put on the platform and this is what we do as athletes and as coaches and all of it above. But, when you have a bye week to prepare for a team and your first play is an interception, it just really, really, hurts. So, there's a lot of things they got to figure out. Not sure what it is, because, again, it's just what happens on film, and to figure it out from there. But a lot of work for sure.
Your thoughts on that, Jovan? Do you go with Padilla next game?
I agree with Jordan 100% on that. The reason why is because, like he said, like he alluded to, you put a kid in a situation where he's playing against one of the best offenses in America, to one of the best defenses in America, one of the best teams in all of America. So, you throw him in there in the second half, and I hope you don't throw him in a game like that and expect for him to light the scoreboard up. You have to have realistic expectations. And I think you start him next week, but also when it comes to play calling, you have to call plays that are dictated towards his skill set. I think right now they were calling plays that are more dictated to what Spencer can do, and instead of utilizing the fact that Padilla is a little bit more mobile guy, getting them on the move and things like that, making the game a lot simpler and easier for him to make completions and things like that. He's not going to be the type of guy that stands in the pocket and throws the ball for 40 or 50 times. You you can get them on the move, use the bootleg game that they do have. I'm sure that's in their playbook. It's been in there for 100 years. Hand the ball off, stretch, run your run plays, but then utilize his skill set off of those plays, because I think he'll be productive in that type of environment.
The numbers, Spencer Petras, 6 for 14 for 49 yards and 2 interceptions. Padilla, 5 for 10 with 1 interception for 32 yards. They were sacked again, like the Illinois game, 5 times. So 5 times in each of the last 2 games, the opponent has gotten 5 sacks, the last 2 games, I should say. Jordan, what can you do to kind of compensate when your offensive line is just not consistently playing well?
Well, when you have issues with continual pressures, that's when you can rely a little more on screen games, having quick dropbacks. Like the one thing that I do like that teams in like the NFL do, the Saints with like Alvin Kamara, it'll be a swing pass, have guys do shrieks, and they just drop it short and just let a guy win 1v1. And I do think for our running backs, the freshmen we have, Kate Johnson.
Yeah,
correct?
Caleb Johnson.
That he, I've seen him make some guys miss. And so it's like maybe getting opportunities like that where it's like quick game. I remember when I was there with Damon Powell, we did a lot of wide receiver quick screens and, just trying to get the ball in the guys' hands. Like Bruce, maybe not doing jet sweeps on 3rd and 3, but it's
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, but
it speaks to what Jovan was saying. It's just when the plays don't work, they stand out like sore thumbs, right? And I know you're trying to do something, but it seems like everything that can go wrong is going wrong.
Oh yeah, and that's the hard thing with play calling, because obviously if it worked, it's an amazing call, but being stopped, it just, again, when it's a jet sweep sort of thing, when you're going east and west rather than north and south on short yardage, it's a play that has worked plenty of times, but it is a risky call. So that's just a thing where maybe it's just trying to get the ball to certain guys quicker, and whatever we can do to, again, utilize getting Laporta the ball more. So again, just as we already both agreed on, Javon and I, with Padilla, just doing what works for him, maybe quarterback reads, quarterback lead draws, different things like that. Let him run early, let him get a little comfortable, get the nervousness out, and then just dive in dumps to Laporta, quick receiver screens, running back screens, different things like that. Because if we're having a hard time with our line stopping the front and holding blitzes back to keep our quarterback off the ground, then also use that to your advantage, since teams know it.
Are you seeing, I noticed at least one replay today, Jordan, that LaShawn Williams was not in position to pick up the blitz. And I'm noticing, and I focused on it more because you've talked about that the last few weeks about the backs releasing, or not being in position. Did you see that today beyond that one with LaShawn where guys, it's hard. It's a hard balance, right? You're trying to help the offense by getting released and being an option, but also you can't let the blitzers through.
It's hard. It's hard. And I will never say it's something just so easy to be done, but just with the experience is something that I know you have to be able to do to be able to sustain drives and make those, make the drives count into end in points. Cause there were plenty of times where it happens, but plenty of times in my senior year where there was a miscue with the O-line and I had to cut block a free defensive end coming in because they took the outside blitzing linebacker instead. So going out to the linebacker, but then quickly adjusting, it's like you have to be able to make those sort of things just to be able to help your whole offense as your role as a running back being backed. Again, it is hard, and certain fronts and stunts make it harder. And I know I got Jake Rudock hit hard one time when I thought the guy was, and then he faked me out. It's just stuff like that. But yeah, you got to be able to make plays and being able to put your best position to be able to block for your quarterback.
Jovan, I think the narrative is, the offensive ineptitude is hurting the defense, and I guess it's tough to quantify how much being out there a lot hurts a defense. And I know the defensive guys aren't going to make excuses. Gave up some big plays in the second half today. Defensively, though, how would you, I guess, overall describe what you saw today?
I mean, what I saw today defensively was guys flying around in the first half, making plays, score a defensive touchdown. Put the offense in position. You stop them on 4 attempts in the red zone to get in the end zone. They stop them 3 out of the 4 and make them kick field goals. And in situations like that, when you are playing defense like that, and your offense isn't giving you anything, it makes it tough on you, because you have to go out and execute and, stay mentally locked in. And as frustrating as it seems, you got to be able to just, stay positive, stay the course, and keep plugging away and taking it one play at a time. The unfortunate reality is Ohio State's offense is an explosive offense. So the more opportunities you give them, they're going to start to chip away and they're going to make some plays. And I thought in the second half, they did a great job of attacking the defense in areas where they knew what we were going to be in. So like the one on Beijing, when they ran a post route on them, they held the safety with the tight end. But, when in that situation, we play so much match quarters that, once that receiver crosses your face, it's you and it's him in the end zone if you're not a fast guy or a guy that plays to protect the post. So, they did some things, creative things that kind of, took advantage of what we were doing defensively. They hit the seam route to, I can't think of the kid's name, how you pronounce it or whatever, but number 2, he ran the seam route down the seam, and they quarterback Stroud, he put the ball right on him. And I mean, the safety was there, but he was there a step too late. So, they did some creative things and got the ball to their playmakers, and their receivers are really good. I mean, the more opportunities that they get, I mean, their quarterback's a Heisman candidate. What do you expect? I mean, you give them opportunities, they're going to cash in eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the defense, is it a cumulative effect too, when you're having to do this every week with the offense, that, eventually you wear down? Is it I mean, this was coming off a bye, but as the season goes on, the more plays you're out there, as you said, the more opportunities for the offense to do something and adjust to what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say wore down, because I mean, at Iowa, everybody knows that the strength and conditioning program is one of the best in the business. So I don't think guys are getting wore down, but as we said, the more opportunities they get, I mean, the more likely they're going to get towards their end zone and be able to make some plays. So, when opportunity presents itself against a team like Ohio State, they're going to make plays, and that's just what happened.
Yep.
Yeah, the turnovers today were awful too. I mean, that's even, it's bad enough when earlier in the year, when, at least you'd hold them. Tory Taylor would pin the opponent back. Today, there wasn't even really an opportunity for that, Jordan.
Yeah, and special teams play was confused on my boy Taylor decision, even with everybody running back. It didn't really follow. He should have, if he was going to make that run, stay on the outside. I don't know if that was a predetermined play call or anything, but yeah, just when you have turnovers and issues like that, it is almost impossible to be able to stop teams like Ohio State. You have to be able to execute, have to be able to win the turnover battle. And just talking again with the points that have already been made with the defense just being on the field, a lot of people don't think too much when it comes to game plan. So when your defense is making stops and then your offense puts scores and points on the board, that opens up different play calls, because if you're up a certain amount of time and scores, they have to pass or they have to do these things, and you can just play a little more reserved. But when the game's still close and Ohio State has a very good run and passing ability, it's hard when we're having our safeties having to come down to help for the run and then also shadow for the tight end. And then, yeah, it leaves our corners in scenarios like that. But if our offense was able to execute during some of those drives where our defense made the great stops and only had Ohio State kicking field goals, it could be a very different game. So that's why it's very important for, both sides of the ball to work hand in hand, because then it also helps you down the line in the game.
Want to let folks take a little break here and let folks know that support for the podcast comes from Systems Unlimited, celebrating 50 years of providing services to people living with disabilities and mental health needs throughout East Central Iowa. A list of their services and upcoming events can be found at sui.org. We'll take a break here for hear from a couple more of our sponsors, and we will be back on the other side. And welcome back. Thank you again to our sponsors. I'll throw this out to both of you guys. When things are going, when things are going like this, let's say that, Jordan, what are some keys to keeping the locker room together and not letting this snowball? I mean, you still have an opportunity here. There's, out of a 12-game season, there are still 5 games left, all against Big Ten West teams with 3 of them trophy games. So, I mean, there's a lot left to play for here. You got to pick yourself up from where you are here, or this is just going to get worse.
Yeah. So you can bring everybody in and sit them down and talk with them, and obviously point out the elephant in the room of having to lose to a team like this and one of the highest scoring against Iowa in so long, and just all those different things. Yeah, it's painful, it sucks, it's terrible, but now that it's here, what are you going to do? Because like you said, we have trophy games left to play for, have bowl game left to play for. The Big Ten West, yeah, the odds of being able to win that and go to the Big Ten championship are just a lot slimmer. It's still so much to play for, and with meaning you also have nothing to lose. So they can now try to even be a little less conservative and think of more just big shots, trick plays, different things where stepping outside of the comfort zone a little bit, because you want to still keep to yourself, but at the same time, when you understand your scenario and what hasn't worked by now, it allows you to maybe free things up a little bit, because we still have a lot in front of us, even if it isn't a Big Ten championship entirely, or New Year's bowl game with those out of the picture. But there's still plenty of things that if they finish this season, the rest of the season strong, they can be going somewhere warm and continue to play football.
To you, Jovan, how do you kind of keep the locker room together in situations like this?
One thing I do know is I played at Iowa during the time where we were probably the winningest program in Iowa history over our 4-year span. But where's the senior leadership at? The guys that are, in the locker room all the time, that are stepping up and telling people, hey, we need to get ourselves, look in the mirror and get things going in the right direction. They used to have guys like me and Jordan. When we were upperclassmen, we were not accepting what's going on right now. Like, we would call a team meeting and let guys know, hey, like, we're here to do a job, and right now that job's not getting done. So we got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, like, what are you going to do to make sure that it gets corrected? And, every guy on the football program has to do that. Take a look in the mirror and get it all corrected, because right now they're struggling to do anything the right way, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you got to have 3 phases playing together. And right now, you don't have that. And that stems from just the players in the locker room being able to hold themselves accountable.
Jordan, where can the offense get to at this point? You've seen it now for 7 games. What can you expect? Being realistic here, to the point now where, as I wrote in my column, the offense is, you want complementary football. We've all heard that ad nauseum from Kirk Ferentz and what that's about, and that's Iowa football. But right now, not only is the offense not complementing the defense and special teams, it's hurting them. So is it getting to a point where it's just competent and you're not hurting the other phases? Is it that kind of step forward?
Yeah, I mean, that is what they all say about the best thing about being at rock bottom is now there's only going up. So I wouldn't say we're at a rock bottom, but in the place where we're at with having one of the worst struggling offenses in the country and quarterback issue, offensive line problems, like all these different things, right? A lot of people can point fingers and just say what's wrong with everything, but that also means we just have more room and space for improvement. And again, if Padilla is going to get his shot, and as we've already said, if he gets these play calls more to his ability, if we're able to go out next game and put 3 offensive touchdowns on the board, even though it's 21 points, that's huge for how this season has been going. You know, we don't have to look at the Ohio States and the Bamas and the Tennessees who are putting up 40, 50 points a game. We just have to play our ball. And if they can go out next week and pick the right play calls, work around him and make those adjustments, and we can just get a clean game with 3 offensive touchdowns or something like that, that's great from what everything's been. So they've been doing a lot of things, trying different things, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. So that's just what they have to key on. If you only focus on what's wrong, then you'll just continue to go in that direction. And one of my favorite quotes that I say to half of my students that just love to continually be late to class is that good old definition of insanity. If you try the same thing a bunch of times but expect a different result, you're the one that's wrong, right? So it's something that regardless of what's seen, regardless of what the scoreboard says, regardless of the stats, they just got to think of what they can do next. As Javon said, look them each other in the eyes, look at themselves in the mirror and just say, it has not been acceptable, but next week, let's just have a clean game. And that's all we can do. And again, just the last thing you want to do, as you said, is hurt the defense, because that'll obviously do nothing but bad.
Jovan, I feel like we're on a downer here, man. I think I need something to lift us up. Give Hawkeye fans some positives, something to think about, something to feel good about going into these last 5 games, that there's still a lot of season left.
Well, they got one of the best defenses, regardless of what the scoreboard said today. They got one of the best defenses in all of the country. And,
how about that Jack Campbell interception, man?
That was an amazing play. I mean, you look all over across the board, they got playmakers that can get it done. From the front line to the linebackers to the secondary, they got guys that are playing at a high level. But, at the end of the day, you just got to continue to plug away at it. And, you're going to have some All-Americans out there, some guys that are going to be all Big Ten. But defensively, they really have an outstanding defense. And, that's something that you can hang your hat on, because in these next 5 games, as we've seen throughout the beginning of the season, the defense is going to carry the burden on their backs. And, we just got to keep holding teams down until the offense gets it going. But I think they have the ability to win the next 5 games. It's just a matter of, putting 3 phases together for 60 minutes and not, having one phase fizzling itself out. That's the biggest issue right now.
Yep. Well said. And we'll move on again to Northwestern next week. This will be Pat Fitzgerald's Super Bowl, because they have not had a good season, and he loves to beat Iowa. That's kind of what he likes to do. And Northwestern's won 3 in a row in Kinnick. So if that's not motivation for these Hawkeyes to turn that around, I don't know what is. This is an opportunity. Iowa's the better football team. This is a great way to get things started, right, Jordan? Is to get a win over a school that you kind of tussle with quite a bit and then move on.
Oh yeah, always been, a different type of intensity for the Iowa Northwestern games. We've had tough losses towards them. We've stopped and had big wins, last moment ones. I think it was 2014 we beat them in overtime, different things like that. So yeah, for them to be coming to Kinnick and for the last few times they've left with the win, they have a lot of momentum to change that. They have the momentum to prove that we're a different, better team than what was shown on the scoreboard against Ohio State. And just again, for offense, we have to not do anything to hurt the defense, and we have to have a game that ends with the defense not scoring more points than the offense. I don't remember how many times. I think 3 times.
South Dakota State today. And was there another one in there?
I think I can't.
I know they got a touchdown against Iowa State, but that was after the block punt and went 16 yards for that one. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, it's tough. And again, that's just a testament to how great our defense is. But yeah, it has to be all three together. Defense, special teams, and offense, and hopefully coming against a weaker team, lesser team after a tough loss. Hopefully we can use that negative energy and use it as more of as adrenaline and create an enthusiasm to, again, go out there and prove people that they're not what the record is showing.
Well said. And we'll end it there. Next week, 2:30 kickoff Central Time against Northwestern at Kinnick Stadium. It's homecoming game. So get out there, support the Hawkeyes. Do not lash out at these guys on social media. No matter how bad you're feeling today as a fan, the players feel worse. And these guys can attest to that. And it make you feel better lashing out and ripping these guys on social media, but it doesn't make them feel any better, and it's not supportive, and it does no good other than maybe making you feel like a champion for a second or two by lashing out. So that's my PSA for the day. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to our sponsors, and Jovan, Jordan,